Hello everybody and welcome to The Flock, an asymmetrical online horror game for up to 5 players, developed and published by a company called Vogelsap. The game has recently been released on Steam and has already been shrouded in controversy because of a very specific design choice regarding its population that you can see right there. In order to get to this issue, I'll have to elaborate a bit on the background story and gameplay mechanics of The Flock. The game is set on planet Earth in the year 3000. The Earth is completely devoid of life by then, except for a population of around 215 million humanoid creatures called The Flock. These creatures search and hunt for a certain light artifact that turns the bearer of this artifact into a smaller, more fragile being called the Carrier. And the Carrier's only way of defending himself is to use the artifact's light, because the Flock in their normal state are highly sensitive to light when moving. However, they become immune to light when standing still, which forms basically the basis for this cat and mouse gameplay. Now, each death in-game permanently detracts from this overall population, and the developers have stated that once all 215 million lives have been used up, the game will be taken off online stores. Yes, you have heard right, it won't be able to be purchased anymore. And after that, a second phase will start with another limited population, and once that limit has been reached, the game as a whole will be terminated, so you won't be able to play it anymore at all. And of course this has caused great controversy among gamers, many of who fear that the game won't be playable in the very near future. Whether this fear is actually reasonable, only the future will be able to tell. But one has to keep in mind that The Flock is an indie horror game and therefore by nature has a relatively small player base, so it's going to take a long while, I guess, until these 215 millions will have been used up. But players are actually fearing that this kind of experimental design might actually find its way into other bigger titles by bigger companies, and sort of giving the bigger publishers and development studios kind of like a bad example to work after. So that's the rather interesting backstory to this game, and I'd say we jump right into a round and see what the actual game is like. So, I'm starting into this round as one of the Flock, and I immediately spot the Carrier right in front of me, and I make a pounce and kill him. That was probably the fastest kill on a Carrier I've ever had in a game of the Flock. And as you can see, I'm now the Carrier myself, equipped with the light artifact, which is basically a big flashlight. And on the light artifact you can see it has sort of this status display, which tells me how well the artifact is charged, and as a control point it gives extra points. Activating that, and there's one of the Flock who is kind of semi-hidden, and he kills me and takes the spot of the Carrier. And as you can see, my life is now detracted from the overall population permanently, and I'm waiting my turn to spawn in again. I'm currently in the top position, but not for long. And there you can see the sort of intro animation that plays out every time you spawn back in as one of the Flock. And as one of the Flock, you're fairly agile. You can sprint very quickly, you can leap and jump over great distances. So that gives you a pretty big advantage over the Carrier, who is much slower than you are. And there's the Carrier again right in front of us, and what's he doing? He's going up there, so I'm trying to kind of like sneak up behind him. You have to be careful not to have him shine his flashlight right in your face while you're moving, because as said, the flock are vulnerable to light as long as they are moving. Once they stand still, they turn into these immobile statues. So they are kind of like gargoyles, or if you know the term, weeping angels. And he's now at a control point, trying to see if I can bounce him from above, but he's yeah, there he goes. He spotted me and he's shown his light right in my face, so I wait my turn to actually get a move on him. And he's about to go in there. I thought I had him there, but in the last second he actually spotted me and shown the light artifact at me and therefore killed me. And another life is detracted from the population. And he's now taken the top spot. We are just 2 players in, but a third guy spawns in. So it's 2 flock against the carrier. And where is he? Yeah, he's there in the distance. You can always see the carrier fairly well because of the very strong light cone of the artifact. And what we just heard was the flock call. You can actually call other members of the flock and kind of team up with them against the carrier. And I'm now making my way across the map again on the search for the carrier, who's now just below me. I'm anticipating that he's going to go underneath there, and I pounce down. And I almost get killed as I completely messed it up. But fortunately I haven't died, and he's about to make a big mistake. He turns his back on me and I immediately kill him. And I'm now the carrier again. I know that this is actually a live flock. The flock actually have an interesting ability. They can actually place sort of a fake statue, kind of a copy of themselves on the map. And they can actually, it's not just for shits and giggles, they can actually, you can actually teleport into that stationary statue that you have placed somewhere on a map when you're one of the flock, which is actually quite nice, because you can set up traps and therefore bounce the carrier and increase your chances of becoming the carrier yourself. And as I said, you have to keep moving as the carrier, otherwise the light artifact won't charge up. And as one of the flock saw me flashing the light at him, so he immediately stopped. And then there's another one. He tried to make a move, but I shown the light into his face, so he had to keep standing still. And he's trying to sneak up on me, but I completely missed the guy on my left, and I'm about to be killed by him. Yeah, another death, another flock dead, and the host has actually won the game. So the rounds in the flock are fairly short, but they are good fun and very entertaining because of the cat and mouse game that's actually going on. So I hope this gave you a fairly good impression of what this game is actually like online. So, do I think that this game is actually worth picking up? Well, yes and no. I very much like the gameplay concept of this kind of cat and mouse game style, because you really feel like a hunter in the form of one of the flock, whereas you when you turn into carrier you feel very vulnerable and weak, and that's very well done. And also the audio is very well done. On the other hand, the graphics are very crude and they could have been much better. The biggest letdown of this game, however, is the very limited map pool, and I think currently there's only 3 maps in the game, so that's one point that developers definitely have to improve upon, because 3 maps is literally nothing. So at the current point in time it's available for 17 euros or your regional equivalent, and I'd say go pick the game up, but wait for a Steam sale and wait for it to drop in price considerably, because I think currently it's not worth the 17 euros, but maybe if it's 33 or even 50% off, it is definitely worth trying it out, especially when you've got a bunch of friends to play with. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.